Good afternoon. My name is Ndugu Fur, and welcome to the Temple of New African Thought, also known as TNAT Holistic Wellness Center, where you can get all of your Pan-African needs. Just so you guys know, if you haven't been to the space, if you haven't been to the place to be, right here on Hartford Road, there's books, there's oils and essentials, there's herbs, there are a variety of incense and smell goods. You can also go to therapy. Men's group is upstairs, as well as individual therapy with Dr. Asar Winkler. And if you have the opportunity, to come to Diaspora Soul, you can get some of the best Caribbean and American cuisine, I would say, in the city. I look, I'm biased, but it is what it is.
You're not biased.
I'm not biased. I'm not biased. It really is. Look, I will go and get seconds. I might get thirds. Truth bombs. It is what it is. If you can't deal with the truth, then this is not the place for you. Right. So with that said, let me also just mention downstairs there is a variety of martial arts that you can participate in. Long story short, this is the place that you need to be if you are looking for holistic wellness, not just for your body, not just for your mind, not just to smell good and look good, but to be good. And that's where we need to be. So with no further ado, I want to go and start off this circle in a beautiful way, always honoring our ancestors and welcoming them into the building. I want to welcome them into the building, into the place to be, with a drum call. Oh, ancestors, I hope you hear me. Come walk with me. This brother right here to my left is Ndugu Parish. We are in this rites of passage together. It's in Gia rites of passage. And I got to say, I love this brother. Look at, go give me a dap, man. Give me a dap. Look, let's bring in these ancestors in a beautiful way. Ready? Oh, ancestors, I feel them in the building right now. I would like to continue by asking Ndugu Parish if he can join me with libations, honoring those ancestors that are now in the building.
I say. Testing.
You see the mic?
Testing. That's better. All right, I'd like to start by reciting the oath in Gia.
Yes,
Those
yes.
who know it, you can with me. Ready?
We walk in Mayat with balance, truth, and divine alignment. We rise with discipline. We heal with courage. We give our gifts to the community. Ancestors, walk with us. Spirit, rise in us. Divine, guide us. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Oh.
At this time, I'd like to call out to those ancestors who fought for our freedom and struggled, fought, bled, and died for us, and have contributed to what we now experience today. I'd like to start by calling out Marcus Garvey,
Marcus Garvey, Ashe.
Martin Luther King,
Martin Luther King, Ashe. Frederick Douglass,
Ashe.
Dr.
Frank.
Amos Wilson,
Ashe, Frank. Ashe, Ashe,
Sojourner Truth,
Ashe,
Benjamin Banneker,
Ashe,
Ashe,
Ashe, Ashe,
Ashe,
Chris Wilson,
Ashe, Ashe,
Joseph Benyaki,
Ashe, Equiana, Ashe,
Ashe, Quinn Nzinga,
Ashe,
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 Shaka Zulu,
Ashe, Ashe,
Ashe, Nat Turner,
Ashe,
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 Ashe.
Ashe.
And next, let's call out those ancestors that are in our direct bloodline lineage.
Ashe.
Annie Edmonds, Ashe,
Lena and Leonard
Henry
White,
Edmonds, Ashe,
Wesley White,
Aaron McCoy,
Robbie White,
Ashe,
Franklin White,
Mildred Edmonds, Ashe,
Esmeralda Fur.
Ashe.
Mm.
And to those ancestors that aren't known to us, but we still hold them dearly to our hearts. Ashe,
Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe, oh.
Oh, ancestors, thank you. So one thing, as we share our daily oath, we say, we give our gifts to the community. There's so many gifts in the circle that we give so freely to our community. I'm very appreciative of the community in itself. It's very healing. And one person who I know for certain always gives their gifts to the community, and I'm always highly appreciative of them, of how they show up, of their poise and their regalness. Just how, look, even how she speaks. Look, I can hear your voice multiple times on recording and I would not get sick of it. And I just want you to know that. With my great appreciation, I want to introduce Mama and Donna.
Asante Sana, thank you very much. This is kind of in accordance with libations. I know in the Ifa tradition and some other cultures that a person's name is not to be called for several months, or sometimes I've even heard a year after they've passed or transitioned, because they're still in a state of limbo until they move from that. But in honor of Baba Imani Jamil Alameen, I would like to share another Sweet Honey in the Rock cover, just to be thankful and for all the blessings that he bestowed upon us with his work with Student Non-Violating Coalition, working with Kwame Ture, and I think he did a lot of stuff out in California, working with young men in the communities and etc. So I just want to make sure that we appreciate all of us who struggle and work hard, and There's so many passing right now. So many young people are passing. But anyway, I just wanted to pay him a special tribute. And like I said, I didn't think I should call his name actually during the pouring of libations. So I would just do the Sweet Honey in the Rock song in his honor.
Thank you.
Called Breaths. Boom, 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 boom. Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. It's the ancestors' words when the quiet voice is heard. It's the ancestors' words in the voice of the waters. Those that have died have never left the land, for they are not under the earth. They are in the babbling brooks, they are in the rustling leaves, they are in the waterfall, they are in the gentle breeze, but they are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. It's the ancestors' words when the quiet voice is heard. It's the ancestors' words in the voice of the waters. Those that have died have never left the land, for they are not under the earth. They are in the solid rock, they are in the river's flow, they are in the whistling wind, they are in the sparkling snow, but they are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. It's the ancestors' words when the quiet voice is heard. It's the ancestors' words in the voice of the waters. Those that have died have never left the land, for they are not under the earth. They are in the baby's cry, they are in the mother's prayer, they are with us in the home. Spirit surrounds us everywhere. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. It's the ancestors' words when the quiet voice is heard. It's the ancestors' words in the voice of the waters. Boom, 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 boom. Baba Iman Jamil Alamin. Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe. That's beautiful. I really appreciate that. I've never previously heard that sentiment that to give it time before speaking their name. And I really appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. So as we continuously share our gifts with the community, I'm going to open the circle and see if there are any more gifts that could be shared with the community, with the direct and indirect community, those directly in the Baltimore area to worldwide online. You know, the internet makes the world a smaller place. I'd also encourage, if anyone has any questions or comments online, feel free to share them, as we do try to address or consider those thoughts and words from people who are in the space and people who just want to share in. You know, that's how we build a community. That's how we stick together, being inclusive. Okay. Well, I have some affirmations I want to put forward. And I want to encourage us to join in. I'm going to start with a slurry of affirmations. And if we can, look, you like my lexicon. You know, I got my words where I got them, you know. But as they come in, I want to encourage us to add them, and I'll repeat a couple. Hopefully we all walk away with one that really resonates with us, or a couple. So I'm going to start with, I am strong. It's a safe one, right? I'm powerful. I'm intelligent. I'm mindful. I'm an intellectual. I'm creative. I am healing. No. I am healed. Let's talk that one into existence, right? I'm present. I'm persistent. I'm disciplined. No one wants to add into these.
I'm intentional.
I'm intentional. I like it. Anyone else? I'm purposeful. I am deserving.
I'm aware.
I'm aware. I'm patient. I'm growing. I'm healing. I am loved. I continue moving. I'm giving.
I'm consistent.
I am consistent. I am aware. I'm a Pan-African. I am optimistic. Yes. I think that's good. I appreciate us coming together for that. I think affirmations are so important. And I can't say I always believe them when I say them, but it's a fact of discipline to say them anyway. And what I find more than anything is, on those days that maybe it's a little harder to believe, at least it reverses the thought patterns that are cycling through my mind that's negative. And I got to be honest, I am doing a social media fast. We are doing some social media fasting, some media fasting in general, media fasting. But I'm going to tell you, in the current climate, social media is media. Most of my media is social media. And I've realized I am staying disciplined, but it is quite difficult. All right. I had to delete the app. And in the place where the app is, I've touched that place maybe many times. You know, I open up the phone right away. Oh, can't do that. Yeah. So, we're all working on things. I'm just sharing a little bit about me. Okay. Any other gifts that like to be shared with the community? All right. Well, if y'all gonna be shy, I'm not gonna be shy because I got some gifts I'd like to share with the community. I actually wrote a song this last week or so, and I'd like to share it. And I always say I like to karaoke it because it sets a low bar. But yeah,
Is it your song?
It is my song.
You can't get that one on that, then, bro.
I can't
not
because there
on your
is
own
no
song.
karaoke because there is no lyrics to follow along with.
We
So
already
you just
expect
removed
greatness.
my shelter and shield. So I guess I just gotta heal with courage and go for it.
You gotta do it.
All right, I just gotta do it. But yeah. You know, and I'd like to also mention, as I'm giving my gifts to the community, I think about it multifaceted because not only did I write the song and I'm playing guitar, but I also make my guitars. I hand carve them. This is Brazilian sapele and African walnut. Yeah, you guys didn't know that. Look, the more you know, the more you grow. Yeah, I have decided I exclusively play my own guitars now. So that's why you always see me with this one. As a way to give my gifts to the community. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm quite passionate about it. I can't lie. Part of the reason why I said I got to karaoke it is because I have to read my own lyrics. I have not memorized them.
Okay, we'll give you a pass. All right, you karaoke.
Yeah. Look, but I'm honest though. I'm honest though. God, how do we kill and how do we live? Dear God, how do we kill? Whoa, and how do we live? Oh Lord, have mercy. Oh Lord, have mercy. I say, oh Lord, have mercy. And please forgive. And please forgive. There's mothers crying and children dying. Global pollution, teen prostitution, crimes and warfare. Life's so unfair. I look for who cares. Don't say no one there, oh Lord. Oh Lord, have mercy. I say, oh Lord, have mercy. I said, oh Lord, have mercy. And please forgive. and please forgive. And please forgive. And please forgive. Social delusion, how much your soul's worth. Humanity is torn across the whole earth, killing for gold and greed, blood running through the streets. Ancestors, walk with me. Whoa, 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 whoa. D.A.W. How do we kill? How do we kill? D.A.W. How do we kill? And how do we live? D.A.W. How do we kill? Whoa, and how do we live? Oh Lord, have mercy. I said, oh Lord, have mercy. I said, oh Lord, have mercy. And please forgive. And please forgive. And please forgive.
Ashe,
Thank you, thank you.
ashe.
I really appreciate y'all allowing me to share that. And I really want to dedicate that song to all those who are dealing with the trials and tribulations in this world. I listened to, before the media fast, I was listening to a lot of the news and a lot of social media. And I don't know about y'all algorithm, but mine constantly tells me about atrocities that happen throughout the world. And I sometimes wonder how we're even able to operate on a regular basis, hearing about these things and seeing some of the depictions and the things that we record in passing and share to one another can be deeply traumatizing. And I gotta say, I'm no different than anyone else. And some of these things wake me up in the middle of the night, and you can fill in the blanks on which things I'm speaking about. But I think that we need some real healing. And I just wanted to write that song with the thought of how do we address some of these things that are going on So I really appreciate you guys allowing me to be vulnerable and sharing that. So if anyone else would like to share their gifts with and for the community, the floor is still open. And if not, that's fine. I think we have a riveting discussion in front of us for the fifth time that we're going into the book of Ptahhotep. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion. Because the man who's leading this discussion not only has helped create this community that we are enjoying, he not only is my personal therapist and also leads the men's group, so community therapist, leader of the Rites of Passage, an educator who I just watched a very riveting discussion where, you know, from my words, he dismantled a lot of foolishness. And if you haven't watched that, I think that we should drop a link at some point so you can go and check that out. If you see this page, you should go and check the list on the page of all the other videos. I think you'll find a lot of insight and input in the overall video library and all the content that is there. But enough with the accolades. I want to, with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Asar Winkler.
Blessings. And you know, we always gotta let Brother Los show up in the room and vibe out.
You know, Brother Los, I've learned, is a master DJ.
Master DJ.
Yeah, his cuts go deep. Yeah, you let him ride out for a while.
Yeah. You know, songs befitting because some of the claims that have been stated is that only African Americans. No, you keep that up. You keep that up. Only African Americans subscribe to this thing called Pan-Africanism. That's what Brother Fur is speaking to. There's been a lot of myths put out. And I said, I don't hardly hear people saying that there's a whole way of life or religion, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to get in no trouble. That has an origin on an island outside of the United States that is Pan-Africanist. So how can you say such foolishness? Parrish looking at me, y'all. So I say I won't let the FBA nonsense fill the house today. That's why I got it out last night. But there's a lot of things that need to be debunked. And as one of my elders say, I'm not fighting against my brothers and sisters that are misled, misguided, because they mean well. Nonetheless. So I fight for African liberation rather than tearing each other apart. Anything, as I said earlier, anything that has us at odds with one another is problematic. It doesn't mean that we won't fight. And I think it is a delusion to believe that we won't disagree within the family. But there is something that is different about infighting or the fight within the family that you'll never end. That fight in the family doesn't oppress us collectively. And you have more power within that system than that system that outsiders have pressed upon us called racism, white supremacy ideology, whatever you want to call it. I say that we have to be clear because our ancestors, our elders, our scholars, our peers who are, as Dr. Bing call it, and Dr. John Henry Clark call it, African deep thought, those who think who are deep thinkers. Sometimes we aren't ready for the message when they bring it. And one of my dear ancestors I want to call and always walks with me, as some people say their spirit guide, is Dr. Amos Wilson. A man who people say was before his time, but the reality is the message was so penetrating that it took people time to digest it. And sadly, people are more appreciated many times after they've passed on to the ancestral realm. But nonetheless, he's done his work. I walk in my yacht with balanced truth and divine alignment. I rise with discipline. I heal with courage. I give my gifts to the community. Ancestors walk with me. Spirit rise in me. And divine guide me and us as we embark upon today's topic of discussion, conversation, discourse, dialogue, and hopefully a liberatory discussion with the intent of unshackling some of the shackles that are within our minds and behinds. So we're going to go back into the book of Ptahhotep. Yeah, that's the book. And I'm also going to start again with this primary verse that I think is, again, a beautiful verse to set the tone of the discussion. I won't give an exegesis on it as we have done various times. I'll just say it and let it stand for itself. It says, do not be arrogant because of your knowledge. You know, I guess I will. I'm sorry. I'm just feeling it. It says, be not arrogant because of your knowledge. You know, that's a lot of work to do sometimes. Especially when you know people with ill will and ill intent, or just misled, misdirected, misguided, are doing exactly that with the misinformation. But again, with discipline, it says, be not arrogant because of your knowledge. Take counsel with the ignorant as well as with the wise. For the limits of knowledge in any field have never been set, and no one has ever reached them. Wisdom is rarer than emeralds, and yet it is found among the women who gather at the grindstone. So today we'll pick up in the book of Ptahhotep. There's a section 9, and it goes as follows. It says, if you want friendship to last in the house you enter as a master, friend, or brother, or any other place you enter, avoid approaching the women in an improper manner. It says women. No place is peaceful where this is done, and he who intrudes on them is unwelcome. Again, no place is peaceful where this is done, and he who intrudes on them is unwelcome. Thousands of men have been ruined for the pleasure of a short moment, which passes like a dream and then brings death to those who have indulged in it. Men and women leave home because of it, and the heart should refrain from it. As for those who go wrong because the lust, none of their plans will prosper. That one there. Y'all want me to say it again? Pardon again? That's from the Hosea. Yeah.
Which
I'm trying to find it in
which
the book of Ptahhotep. This is Ptahhotep, section 9.
It reads
I
slightly
got you.
different in the book of Ptahhotep.
You want to read it?
I can.
And give them where they can find it in the book of Ptahhotep.
9, it actually seems like a completely different.
Oh, okay. Did you find the verse? Because it's not.
No, I'm
Okay. Cool. So let's deal with what we got.
Okay.
So I did send everyone in here who's always trying to find another book, the Hosea version as well. So you have it.
Yeah.
All you have to do is go into your to the WhatsApp or download it or put it on your tablet or your device, and we can follow that. The reason why I decided to use the Hosea's version, because again, I think it's similar, as I say, to the NKV Bible. It's just a little bit easier to follow and understand without, sometimes there's some conflict perhaps with the interpretations. But if you want a friendship to last in the house you enter as master,
Yeah.
You got something?
I agree with the sentiment, just to start there. I think what this verse specifically is speaking of is having a level of dignity, decorum, and discipline. Being aware of how your words and actions affect the spaces that you're in, as well as operating with a level of integrity that does not create turmoil for the people you're around. Imagine going into someone's house and being inappropriate. And I've seen people do it. Being inappropriate, you can't control your urges or lust or wandering eyes. And I always say there's a time and place for everything. So there was a lot there, and I think it's good advice because it does create turmoil if people interact with one another inappropriately.
Can I ask why it says as master? You're entering somebody else's house as master. Am I not hearing that right?
I think that would be like master of self. That's how I would interpret it. Like, because I thought that too when I first read that. But then after master says friend or brother. So
Brother Parrish, I can't hear you in that mic, I don't think.
Testing.
Yeah,
It's better?
Yeah, you gotta bring it to you.
Okay. I was saying the master, as I interpret it, is really master of self and just being aware and having that self-control and discipline. Because after master, what follows is friend or brother. So those are like kind of positive relationships that you would have with someone. So I did honestly have that question that Mama and D.A.W had at first, but that's just my interpretation of it.
You got something, sister? Oh, yeah. So I think I do get what Brother Parrish is saying, but I also think it's probably giving you as you read it, it says if you want friendship to last and you enter the house, okay, let me say this again. If you want friendship to last in the house, you enter as master. Yeah. I think that you in the house, if you want friendship to last in the house, you enter as master. And then it says friend or brother, or any other place you enter. So yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm also when the whole entire sentence is read together, I think it speaks about some level of position.
Yes, I agree with that.
You agree with that?
I think it's mastery of self, positioning.
What I mean is, brother is a title. Friend is a title, and I'm assuming that master is also a title. So let's say you are master, meaning that you are one with position, influence. You are one with, maybe the word master for some of us, we don't. This is a ancient text, so they use certain terminology. So to me, that is position. So if you are one with great influence and power, as some of our other sections read, you have to be responsible. There's many people who you can say have misused their power when they enter these spaces. So I could interpret that as one who is powerful or influential. One with position. One with status. We can just think about many of the men, if you want to call them that, who have abused that power. It then goes on to say, avoid approaching the women in an improper manner. In 2025, this particular, let's say, section might cause some uneasiness in discussing it, because some would say that this is speaking from, let's say, more of a gender binary or gender norms or all these type of things. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with norms overall. I think people abuse things, misuse things. This is saying, look, bros, don't abuse your position. Don't abuse your influence. Don't abuse your power. And I honestly think that it's essential that we hold each other accountable like that. And I don't think we do enough of it. I do argue that people should be held accountable. Now, who does that job? Those who agree with the value system that people purport that they follow. Some people say nobody's perfect. Well, hold me accountable too. No place is peaceful where this is done, and he who intrudes on them is unwelcome. I think this is a necessity. If you intrude on our daughters, our sisters, our mothers, this is unwelcome. Thousands of men have been ruined for the pleasure of a short moment. Again, I don't want to call any names, but yeah, lots of people have been ruined because they have been undisciplined and also have taken advantage of their power, whether that be intellectual power, physical power, or so-called spiritual power. Again, thousands of men have been ruined for the pleasure of a short moment, which passes like a dream and then brings death to those who have indulged in it. What y'all got? Thousands of men have been ruined for the pleasure of a short moment, which passes like a dream and then brings death to those who have indulged in it. I have no problem with this speaking right directly to the brothers. I'm not saying you can't switch it the other way, but definitely from an African standpoint, you must respect our women.
Speaking on, from my interpretation, the reputation, how
Pardon, say it again.
the reputation of individuals who have acquired a status that did not have the discipline required to really uphold the image that they were portraying, and by becoming exposed, by indulging in activities about, and potentially disrespecting the opposite gender women, their reputation took a hit to the point where they might not be able to kind of recover from. So when I see it says, then brings death to those who have indulged in it, I'm interpreting the death being the character or their image. Like what they represented isn't what their actions show. And by them abusing their power, they destroy that image. So they're deemed untrustworthy. In some instances, it's unredeemable. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think it's important that as we talk about accountability, we hold ourselves accountable. We also hold others accountable. And I can't speak from every lens, but as a man, I encourage other men to be as disciplined with their lust as possible, because it does create an effect, even if you think it won't. There's so many women who even deal with men on just like a purely sexual and relationship based interaction, and then all of their concepts of men then derive from that same lens. They don't have healthy views of Black men because they don't deal with Black men outside of this transactional energy or like that sexual energy, and it has a effect on how we then perpetuate and how we deal with each other, how we perpetuate and view each other, and then how we deal with each other. It hurts. And I also don't think it's easy to understand the long-term effects and ramifications, like what that does to us psychologically. And then what lustful action does to us as a people psychologically. Because as we're talking about this, what I'm hearing is like the discipline necessary to walk into a space. And when I hear master, I also think someone with some level of power and influence.
Mm-hmm.
To walk into a space and not utilize that in a detrimental way. You utilize that power and influence in a detrimental way. And then what I'm also hearing in that back end is it can cause a lot of that detriment. They say death specifically. They say, well,
what is it?
It. What I'm referring to, I think in general, is lustful thought and action.
Mm.
And I'm addressing it from a male perspective. I got no problem also saying it's a people thing. I get why you're saying a male perspective, but it's a people thing. I think that goes both ways. It takes two to tango. But definitely, I agree. If you're trying to keep a friendly atmosphere and you want to deal with yourself and others with a sense of integrity and decorum, you can't operate like that. I don't have a lot of respect for womanizers, just full transparency.
You don't have what again?
A lot of respect for womanizers.
Mm-hmm.
And I got no problem saying that. That's not what you're saying. That's what I'm saying.
Why you say that?
Because I wanted to be clear that that's my position. That's my specific position.
Okay. Okay.
I got.
You said a lot of things. I'm just curious why that one statement was like, that's what I'm saying.
Because I want to own it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to own it. I want to own my thoughts and feelings through that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I'm speaking general within the topic. I can't lie. It hits hard. It's a hard concept to digest. And I think that it's a
womanizing.
Not just that, but just like way of being.
So when you say it, okay, so that's why I keep arguing.
Way of being, as in how to conduct yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, this passage, it feels like it speaks directly to the male,
mm-hmm.
or the master,
mm-hmm.
or the person of influence.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that, because in every circle, I wouldn't even just say in the home. I think in every circle, you have to handle yourself. We have to handle ourselves with a certain level of integrity.
Well, Luke's getting his mic out. Yeah, I think that I appreciate the nuance, and I can say that this can be applicable because everyone has. I would suggest from an NG interpretation that we all have power.
We all have power.
And we all have our ways that we can use that power in ways that are not helpful. But I also want to, and I agree with you. I mean, I don't respect people who womanize. I understand they're sick, and I can have some empathy for them in the process because I know it came from a place. But at the same time, I don't respect that behavior. Right? And I challenge it in whichever way in direction it goes. But I do want to be clear. Like, I do think that we have to, in our community, and not just our community, but there's a lot that goes on when we've been bit by this bug and not able, and the bug I'm saying is not being able to control ourselves in a sexual, or when I say sexual manner, all the things, not just intercourse, right? So if we can't control ourselves, we definitely commit all types of harm. And I do think that many times, because we have not learned to control our own thirst, if we find it difficult to hold other brothers accountable. And I'm not saying sisters don't have that thing. They do. But specifically, I'm speaking to, this is speaking to brothers, and I know we can turn it, and I appreciate the turn. But at the same time, I do realize that we have to hold one another accountable, because the reality is it's not going to be a lot of brothers around me that's going to be talking about they out there doing things and they cheating on their wife and they out here doing this and they doing this to women and all that type of thing. They just won't. They probably not going to tell me, because I don't think there's no space for it, and I don't think there's any space to let people get these passed. I don't think there's no space for people, and I'll just name some names, for people who claim to be African Senate and Pan-Africanists and FBA and all whatever you want to call yourself, being a black leader, but at the same time denigrating sisters.
Yeah.
And then talking about I smashed the cookies and all this old craziness, and calling this, saying all these type of things. And people say that's not your business. It is my business. It's our community.
Absolutely. Something you mentioned that I think is important is that you hold yourself to a certain standard that I don't think people would just candidly say certain things around you, right? But that's also the reason why I think it's important that if you have strong stances on certain things, you state it. And I'm not saying you don't. I'm talking to myself. A lot of what I say is probably for my own reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important for me to state it, because even if someone won't say it around me, I'm setting the tone, because you have to set a standard. If you don't set a standard, then it's a free-for-all and it's up for interpretation. And when things need to be addressed, you address it, especially if you live with a certain standard. Now, I'd also think it's important not to shame people to a certain extent, because like Dr. Cleo mentions, it's easy to talk about the reasons in which some certain people go into certain sexual acts, but then you also have to take into consideration the things that may have happened why they may go into those sexual acts, right? So it's like, as you just mentioned, the womanizer may to some extent have their own level of trauma that they got to deal with, right? But it's also important, like, I think, to say, well, it's not your fault, but it's your problem. Now, what do we do with it from here? Because you're right. I don't think it serves the general community, and I think it creates more of a pathway of pain and its own trauma trance if it's not addressed directly or indirectly.
I think dear brother or sister, somebody, then brother Los, one of y'all had something? I think I saw you pick the mic up.
Yeah. My name's Steph. All y'all made some great points. When it comes to me, understanding that as mastering yourself and coming in someone's household, like me personally, me being in the field and helping people, I don't even go in another man's house while he's not present. You know what I mean? If another woman's there, I'm not going to go in, because I want to master my time and my space. As y'all mentioned, interpretation. It can be interpreted different. I don't take another man's woman somewhere without that man's presence. So it's just being on your A game when it comes to mastering who you are, when it comes to women and children.
because misinterpretation.
Hmm.
So that's what I pull from that.
That's your boundaries. Okay. Now, I think that, Sister Trini, do you have something?
I don't know. I really don't have too much to add. I feel like
Can you pick
I
it?
think a lot of people.
Sister Trini, can you pick it? I can't hear you. Is it off?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, right there. I can hear you when it's real close.
Okay.
Because
I think a lot of
Parrish,
good points.
can you give her that mic? Oh, that mic works. Yeah. Thank you.
I think a lot of people made a lot of good points. I think for me, when I was thinking about mastery, I was thinking about more so like a confident person.
Mhm.
Like when you come into a space, when you're a confident person, you like, yeah, I guess you own who you are, and you
Mhm.
don't have like the insecurities don't really exist or whatever. And then I think with that, I always say this: it comes a lot of responsibility. You're going to attract a lot of people, or a lot of people will start looking up to you because you have this great knowledge or intellect or whatnot. And then I think I wasn't just taking away lust from protect, like respecting women, or just I may not have, because I don't have the book in front of me, so I may not be able to recite each word of how you said it or whatever. But my takeaway was like respect our women or whatnot, and I feel like in this like when it comes to mastering the confidence, that attracts a lot of women, a lot of, and then can you master that that type of attention that's coming your way? And then I think a lot of times when it comes to maybe the male counterpart, I think a lot of times I feel maybe it's a lot of weakness maybe in that area when you was talking about lust and stuff like that. I do feel like maybe that's a weakness that maybe needs to be strengthened up a little bit. And and with that though, I do feel like in this day and time, I do think it's a lot of disrespect. I think it's a battle of the sexes that's going on all the time. And some of it is not just, some of it I think is strategic or whatever, like it's meant to be us against each other, putting us against each other or whatnot. And I think for me, and when you were saying like someone wouldn't say certain things around you and stuff like that. I would like that to be true for everybody, for men and women or whatever. But I feel like we don't all hold space for that. Some people, I feel like, especially like that barbershop talk, that's the thing that's not probably good for women to be in. But I've been there because I'm a single mom and I had to take my kids there to get their haircuts, and a lot of stuff that be going down that's being spoken about women, especially black women. And I have black boys, and I'd just be like, I'm like, wow, shocked. And I'd be thinking, as a woman, I couldn't take it so much. I had to say something, but I was surprised because I'm seeing like all these black men and no one's saying anything. And some of these black men have black daughters and black mothers, and this is your perspective. And I think a lot of it comes from, believe it or not, I'm gonna say, from hurt, pain or whatever. Sometimes it's mama pain, issues with your mother or whatever. I don't know, but that's some of the stuff that was marinating.
Yeah, I mean,
inside of me. So,
I think that's beautiful.
Check.
Can I?
Go.
So I think you're on as usual. Besides when me and you ready to debate, right? That's when you off. No, but I always appreciate Sister Trina's perspectives, and I do think that a lot of what you said, and again, we know that this, and I also get what Brother Fur is saying as far as making space, and I think you also saying you can understand it as well, and I do think that you can hold that space. You can do both at the same time. I think that's what you're saying, right? Because I think, like, I'm not a very aggressive person. Some might say I feel aggressive sometimes because I see things that people don't like all the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the barbershops need to be cleaned up. The beauty salons need to be cleaned up.
Yeah.
The thing is, and I do want to look at this from a dual perspective as well. just because the NG interpretation, one of the things I say when we're having conversation, we need to talk about the family.
Yes, yes.
You know, because lots of times when you talk about it from one angle, then people begin to believe that the other doesn't exist. And we're not saying that. But I do challenge us, brothers, to hold each other accountable. Don't let that be in your space. I do also challenge our sisters, as Sister Trina is saying, to not allow Brother Los to come and then you come. So I do the challenge our sisters. I mean, I'm a therapist. So, you know, I hear all the sides, even the children's sides. And the fights that the inner wars that Sister Trina said, she specifically said some of it is manufactured in a sense.
Yeah.
Other aspects of it is just what naturally happens in families. And I'm sorry to say naturally, because people naturally don't all have discipline. Discipline is something that you have to build. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So not only will people not speak to, look, and in fact, I'll also say I'm always with women by myself, but I am disciplined. Women who I talk to tell me that most men who have that proximity to them at some point has tried to hit on them. And they say, damn, you ain't trying to hit on me? You know what I'm saying? Like, women in this room probably even said that to me. But what I'm saying is, there's only 2 women, right? I'm telling you, look, Trina pointing a finger. hey, look, now I give compliments. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I give compliments to men and women. Men sometimes feel a little uncomfortable, but nonetheless, what I'm saying is, I've heard this from so many sisters. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we got to do better. And okay, what I was going to say is we always have to have the family from an NG perspective at the center, the African family. We have to think about this because the reality is, I think is what Sister Trina and Brother Fur is saying, something created that. And we can, I mean, let me show you how ugly the argument gets. And I'm trying to tell you what argument I don't want to get into. I don't want to get into the argument of sisters blaming men, because then the brother's going to blame the sisters, and then the certain people going to say, well, the sisters raised the sons, and the sons, this is what happened. I mean, all of that is true to a degree, but these are the conditions we find ourselves in, the war that we're fighting against. We're fighting the war to strengthen the family, and you are not going to do that by doing the blame game on one another and letting the system that created lots of this mess, or the conditions for this mess, go. So what I'm saying is, yeah, I think we should talk about all the things. You see what I'm trying to say? We should talk about every part of it in a way that promotes healing. Not in a way to say, see, sister, you raised him. He can't stand you. You even told him don't worry about women. Oh, sister, you told her to go get a job and don't think about a man. Brother, so like what I'm saying is, like, if we do it that way, if the women have to be at fault all the time, that becomes a problem. If the men have to be at fault at all times, that becomes a problem. Oh, you just invalidate my experience. No, I'm not invalidating your experience. What I'm saying is pointing the finger at other oppressed people. I'm not saying that these things don't happen, but there's a difference between sickness and the things that you're under and those things that are going to happen. We can deal with what goes inside of the family and not say that black men are the most oppressive people to the number one predator to black women, oppressive person to black women, when reality, you can't substantiate that on a political level. I mean, I know it sounds good and feels good. You know, I'll say this and I'll pass it over to you, Brother Loach. Part of my feelings around this is that I gave an assignment to my students, the same assignment I gave y'all in the rite of passage. And you should see how they responded. They were totally, they misread everything that they were saying. They didn't see the continuity between the thinkers. What I mean is the thinkers that I'm speaking about is Dr. Hudson Weems, who was an African womanist. She actually founded African womanism. If you want to really study someone from a womanist perspective, study people like her. A lot of these pseudo, I'm saying even the most popular ones, like bell hooks and all, they got some stuff in there, but it is not enough. And in fact, it's a bit toxic. And sometimes people are trying to heal you and tell you how to heal, but they haven't healed themselves yet. You see what I'm saying? And then they say, well, Dr. Weems only spoke about the gender binary. Okay, that's what she speaks about. But she also said that men and women, I don't care who you lay down with, have to work together. So she's not only speaking about, well, I guess in the sense that she didn't say they and them, or intersex or asexual, or but at the end of the day, please understand that male and female is a genetic thing. Now, if you want to go with identity, that's something different. You can identify however you want, a man, a woman, a they or them. You can do that. That's different than your assigned gender at birth. No one can deny that. That is genetic. What's the word I'm looking for, y'all? That is, I'm looking for a better word. But anyway, Brother Los.
I wanted to go back to what I got from. 1 second. Sorry about that. What I got from the reading itself was also they specifically used. It specifically states woman in here, but it's all. I think it can relate to many things that men, women, people lust for, and it's. I go back to like the abuse of power. So when you come in as a master or brother or friend, you have to look at those things as things of power because those are things of trust. You know what I mean? So when you enter a space with anybody, well, like I said, the text says women, but with anybody, you have to come in there with an appropriate approach. So don't abuse your esteem. Don't abuse that. Don't abuse their trust of you being their brother. Don't abuse their trust of being a friend. You know what I'm saying? So, and we have many different examples of that. We speak of one all the time who you abuse their power as a Pan-Africanist or educator or someone trying to raise money for a business person. And if they come with these deceitful ways, then it says any of those for those who go wrong because of lust, none of their plans will prosper. So if you go in there with the lust for attention, the lust for money, the lust for this esteem that you have, the lust for all of these things, then things will go astray because once people lose their trust in you or don't believe in you anymore, then you have a long uphill battle from there. Like you go in there with that trust. That's like if someone came in here amongst us and they're getting a certain feeling, and then on social media they see us doing something totally different. They're gonna be like, well, wait a minute, that ain't the message I got from these people. Like, what's the real person? You know what I mean? So when I think about that, like I said, it uses woman. It uses the word woman, but I think it's the lust for, just the lust for anything, and not and again, of being appropriate in your approach with those things. Like when you come in, you know what I mean?
I would say that's an Angia interpretation. And brother, and go back to what Brother Parrish was saying earlier, much earlier. Let's say you talk about master of self, right? Friend, brother. If you're not following this type of logic or behavioral precepts or protocols, I'm looking for a better word, but nonetheless, I think you follow me. Then you're not those things. You're not a master of self or a master or brother or a friend. You are as someone said in the chat, you might be pimping.
You're a deceiver.
Yes, a deceiver. You're not masterful. You're not a master of self, as Brother Parrish is saying. And as everybody else took with that interpretation. You look like you got something, Parrish.
Yeah, I lost half of it, but I'm gonna give you what I have left. I was actually going to speak to
Do me a favor.
the solution of dealing with children or just the lust aspect of things. I think I was going back to Brother Fur and what he was speaking on the discipline of man when we're in a society where it's just over sexualized, and then coming up as a young man and, like you said, not discipline is something that's built. What does a solution look like when you're trying to approach that where everyone's telling you it's normal and there's nothing to really combat that, and then it's like a pleasure that many people wouldn't even want to combat to begin with. So what would a solution even look like in just teaching that discipline to someone that's young?
I think, go ahead, brother.
I was going to mention that feels very similar to what Dr. Cleo mentions, where it's like first recognizing the trauma trance within itself and being able to identify it, and with an Ngia perspective, the both and it exists, but also and we got to figure out how to move past this. Like there's a level of acceptance that has to happen, as well as a level of transformation, and it has to be intentional.
Yeah, you building off that trauma trance. I don't think Dr. Cleo Monago has been referenced this much ever. I'm going to make sure he gives us a check or something. But but look what we doing over here, Dr. Cleo Monago. And Cleo Monago actually speaks. I mean, a lot of people would disagree with him, but he speaks from it, I think, in a very real way. He speaks about gender and sexuality and what he calls same-gendered loving relationships and all those type of things. And he speaks about it from a framework that those who find themselves in the community find themselves there for various reasons. He also speaks about why many of us struggle with the idea that people operate in those lifestyles. He's saying that, and what he tries to do is say, well, it's understandable that people in our community will have major take exception to these lifestyles. You have to understand what's going on. One of the analogies he gave was a very vivid example. He says that you can imagine if you see someone walking around saying they're transsexual. I'm sorry, wrong language. Transgender or trans. And they're a man who now identifies as a woman. He says, in the mind of the other person is saying to them, like, dude, they trying to F us every day. Now you want to just bend over? And he says that is the mind that's going on in our community many times. So he understands why people take great exception. And he is a same-gender loving person. So it's like he's saying that you have to be able to really look at this. But he is totally has identified better than anybody I can think of up to this point the problem of the LGBTQ white agenda, because he identifies it as an agenda, in that a lot of people who are brothers and sisters who identify with that community find themselves in that community and caught up in that agenda because they don't feel understood within our community. But he says that you never put, in other words, he said, no, we got to look at this thing from a race first perspective, because we are at war. And what they do is a delusion. They try to pull you in to gain and maintain power. At the same time, they don't mean you. And I can't get the word out, but nonetheless, go ahead. I saw.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, was it Curry who was talking about feminism, or was it that I can't. It's one of the two people that we saw the video for, and I can't quite put my finger on. But one thing I do agree with
William, I mean,
Dr. Cleo also is that his approach is not. It doesn't have that feminist or liberal undertone to it. So even recognizing what you just said, it actually is not the woe is me.
Right.
It's not the woe is me approach. It's actually
what we call it in jail.
I forgot.
Pedestalized victims.
Pedestalized. Yep. So it's not that approach. So that approach, to me, I mean, in my opinion, it doesn't get you anywhere. It actually adds on to the trauma. It actually adds on to the trauma. Whereas though Dr. Cleo, even representing himself in that way, in a positive thinking way, leads to the idea of getting to the bottom of something, or the idea of trying to heal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think going down that liberal, feminist way of approaching thing actually builds on the trauma.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more of a reactionary them against us approach, and it doesn't even take in consideration how people have come to form their opinions and why they might be responding to it. And what, in fact, he even said he's not even disqualifying some of their rationale. Like, so example, some people might think that people become that way because they've been, let's say, molested or what have you. And he's saying, well, it might, we could talk about that. And he's not denying that is some people's reality. Whereas the LGBTQ community, plus what they try to push, is there's no relevance in that claim. He's not saying that that's all of what's happening, but he's not also denying that that is a part of how some find themselves in these spaces. And I think it's more nuanced than that myself. But we can act as if that doesn't exist, as Dr. Patricia Newton spoke to a lot, sexual trauma.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is to I don't know if we are still on the same subject, but to not identify that is part of the causation without any real evidence. I mean, all you have to do is do a research study with 100 people, and some people will tell you that has been their experience. I've sat down with brothers and sisters, and they told me why they decided, not that they were born. Some say that they're born, and the argument in that community is that everyone's born that way. You can't be made that way. The reality is the human mind is a very, let's say, I'll say it again, Sister Trina, delicate and malleable type of thing, if I want to call it a thing. You can become whatever you want in your mind. You can be attracted to whatever you want to and whatever that mind is open to. And you cannot discount that culture itself, this is my argument, can be a part of that process, because culture forms your desire. Some people will never like ice cream, but culturally ice cream is good. Some people will have not thought about ice cream, but culturally, because they say you eat it on Sunday, you tried it on Sunday, and then you fell in love with it. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
So I wanted to tie this back in, and I'm thinking back about this verse from the book of Ptahhotep, and the preceding verse, at least from what I remember, and it speaks of how to lead. You have to lead with a level of intensity and intentionality to kind of set a standard, so those who follow you can have trust in you.
Mhm.
And I think that this verse following
Mhm.
speaks about a way of being as it pertains to how to operate in social spheres so you uphold that level of integrity and trust.
Mm.
And when I'm mentioning Dr. Cleo, it wasn't so much to mention his views on LGBTQ plus. It's more to mention how the underlining essence of what he's speaking about is all about how our agenda as Pan-Africans needs to come first, and that is a secondary that should be a secondary mentality.
Right. So they have race first.
Race first.
Yes.
And the betterment of our community. From an Ngia perspective, us.
The counter argument also always becomes, and I think it's a very weak argument, but it sounds good, is that, well, when people got liberated, they still treated us a certain way. The reality is you will always have fighting in your community.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that somehow we think that there's this utopic, but the reality is white women and white men are fighting in a position of power.
Yeah. And I want to be radical right now. Look,
Radical.
what I want to say is, where's the camera? Let me look right in it. What I want to say is,
oh Lord,
it's the white supremacist agenda that is really what we need to be fighting. Because if it's the LGBTQ, if it's feminism, if it's capitalism, there's a lot of isms, racism, there's a variety of isms that we really need to be fighting. And a lot of those things get pushed as the main thing we need to be fighting, but it's all under the same umbrella.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm referencing Dr. Cleo, because he states it in a way where it speaks about LGBTQ, but I'd say even Dr. Hudson Weems.
All of them, yes.
She speaks about it from the feminist perspective.
Womanist, Africana womanist.
Well, Africana womanism, that's counter of what she's seeing is the feminist movement, which is a subset of white supremacy anyway.
Yes.
It's just the white woman's version of,
even when you call it black feminists.
Exactly. So I wanted to tie it back in to say, like, when we're talking about it in the book of Ptahhotep as understanding like the way of being, I'd say the way that you intervene, the way you deal with people, it's also understanding that like these things may have been planted in our minds, or we can internalize it and say, well, this is how I am because of XYZ. But regardless, we gotta see the bigger thing in mind. And if you're operating from a place of mastery and you interact in someone's home, in their business, in their facility, around other people, we need to operate out of a place of integrity, because we got to understand who we're really fighting, and it's not each other.
We are, yes, that's a round of applause. And we shouldn't be each other, right? And I think is essential, because a lot of people don't know Cleo Monago, so that's why you helped me go back to why we got there, because they need a little background. Even Dr. Cleonora Hudson Weems, and again, I'm saying that to say that, why don't you know of them? Why, like, come on now, those our brothers and sisters who are on all these platforms with these elementary theories and models, they get platformed everywhere. But they could not really hold up against Dr. Cleonora Hudson Weems that says that Africana womanism know who they're fighting, and that who they're fighting for, and is for the black family. So it's about the black family. So to me, a lot of sisters, especially some of my students, soon as they heard her say it's about the black family, they say their response is, "What about not? I think that it's absurd that she's fighting for black women and she's talking about gender roles and traditional gender roles and things like that because she said, no, I like taking care of my husband. I like cooking. I like clean. I like these things. So I'm saying, well, think about that. She said what she likes. Now you're saying that the idea is that she has to like what you like, and that is when it's appropriate.
And is there something wrong with that? Like you make that a problem when you address it in that way, you know?
And there's no problem with what Cleo is doing. If Cleo is, I don't know what happened to my mic. So Cleo is fighting the same gender loving perspective, and then Tommy Carey is saying, look, in all analysis, black men have been left out as it pertains to intersectionality, although he doesn't necessarily want it to be included because he thinks it's a problem. That you can't speak about the abuse of black men in academia. And I'm not saying from our own community, I'm saying from the oppressive community, if you want to call it that. You cannot speak about it because academia has made it an anathema, something that you'll be cursed for or fired if you speak to it. So a lot of the people out here who want to help us genuinely are wrapped up in their ideas and thoughts are shrouded with white supremacy ideology. And they don't even know it. They mean well. The whole Duluth model. It's not to say, and people will debate it because there's something in these models that seem beneficial. But the reality is something can be beneficial in a model and still be counter African.
Man, just really quick. All those things that you speak of are not radical in their approach either. They because like we're creatures of comfort. Like we don't want the hard. We don't want to think about the hard thing that we have to do to lift ourselves up or change our ways. So we lean towards those type of things, even if they're coming from an approach that make you think like it's a African ideology or African ideology, but it's the comfortable ones that we soak up. So once we start hearing those things, so we won't hear Dr. Cleo, we won't hear Dr. Hudson Wings, we won't hear Dr. Curry, because those people are cutting straight through the skin, straight down to the bone. And and I say we in general, and I'm not saying everybody, but we love to be comforted, and even in our revolution, we want to be comforted. We don't want to. That's the same way, like I said, we don't want to do the things to say, hey, this might, we don't want to step so far as to say, oh, you're gonna lose your job, or your friends ain't gonna agree with you. So we tether along those lines, and thus we listen to those people who get those white supremacist ideologies, because nothing in the white supremacist ideology is ever radical. They can't even be radical in their own thing. When they do something that we would deem radical, the minute you say, oh, we don't like that, then they'll change it. They'll change it. And like I said, we look at the way we think with, like, I keep going back to like liberal views and conservative views. The one thing that, like I said, on the conservative side of things, the people say things, they don't care what you say. They keep saying it. They whatever, they give you names. They do all this, that, and other. I do fall on that side of, quote unquote, I guess I would call myself a Democrat or whatever. But like the thing I notice about us, and even as Black people, like we tend to apologize for these things. Like we apologize for being Black. Like if we'll apologize if we're too Black. So I just use those terms. I only said that because of the people who you mentioned. You said, why don't we recognize these people? They're not comfortable to listen to. You know what I'm saying? They're not comfortable to sit back and keep digesting that stuff because it actually hurt. It actually requires some real thinking.
You miss out on a lot of grant opportunities, promotion, tenure, all types of things. You know what I mean? And one of the things, just to kind of come to a closing on this, you all, it says here, and I think Brother Fur put it in a really good framing when he spoke about this idea of lust. And it says men and women leave home because of it. And I don't know how many people. It's like this Eurocentric idea of love. Even some of our most African-centered brothers and sisters, like, I don't love, I don't get that feeling, that sexual, I don't get that feeling. And it's like, the issue is many times we haven't healed ourselves and we need so much affirmation, so much attention, so many things to prove to you that this person loves you. And you think there's a problem with them, but the reality is there's a wound that no matter how much one tries to pour into you, it will never be filled because there's holes in those buckets. And then we use Eurocentric frameworks, which has some utility, but they're very limited. Something like love, what do they call them, y'all? Bucket. I call them love buckets, but love languages, which is not good for us, honestly. I'm not saying you can't learn something from it. I'm not saying that a person can't do better to know what their partner desires, but the reality, when you have a hole in that bucket of acts of service, affirmation, attention, I don't care what the person does, you'll never get enough. So we have to look at this thing in a more nuanced way. And again, men and women leave home because of it. They will leave home. I've talked to brothers, they will leave home because there's something in them that's not healed. So they're trying to go and find it in a younger black woman. Someone who can give them a baby. Someone who can allow them to raise a family the way they want to raise a family. Because now the person they're with can no longer do that because they feel like they missed their shot of raising their children the way that they thought that they could raise their children. All this madness goes on in our minds because I don't find this person attractive in this way or that way. You wasn't saying it when you was laying down with them. But now, because you also always need a level of newness in your life, you are never able to be satiated. And a lot of us, it has to do with our wiring. It had a lot to do with our mental conditioning, even our neurological way of experiencing the world. Because lots of times when we're neurodivergent, I'm saying it's rampant in our community because of whatever, you always need something new. Give you an example. People with ADHD, they're always looking for the next high, looking for the new thing. Can't sit still. Looking for this, looking for that. I need a thrill. People who experience trauma, same thing. You can't even cleanly just separate them. So what I'm saying is it's always looking for the next high. Always looking for the next thrill. Because you can't sit still. We have to learn to sit still. So again, men and women leave home because of it. And the heart should refrain from it. As for those who go wrong because of lust, none of their plans will prosper. Because they are led by it. They are guided by it. There's a lack of discipline in it. You allow your feelings to lead you, and everything falls apart around you. We have to be disciplined. We walk in Maya with balanced truth and divine alignment. We rise in discipline We heal with courage. We give our gifts to the community. Ancestors walk with us. Spirit rise in us. Divine guide us. And with no further ado, family, we'll say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe-o.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think this has been a very insightful discussion. I'm always appreciative of the conversation. I want to finish off with 7 Harambe's and focus in on, with an intention, healing with courage, the rising with discipline. I really always appreciate the D.A.W. Let's finish off with these Harambe's. With those black fists in the air, we're going to bring them down and rise with 7 Harambe's. Harambe, 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 Harambe.
Trespass against us. Although them again we will never trust. Them not know what them do. Dig out the eye while I'm sticking like glue. Blinking green while I'm plotting for you. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Me, I'm telling them no more. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. For real, them not a clue. Beware the false motives of others. Be careful of those who pretend to be brothers. And you never suppose it's those who are closest to you.